All right. Okay. Excellent. Good to see everybody. Welcome back to another Cutaway Security ICS Friday Infosec chat. It's good to see people starting to jump into the comments. Wes, hello. Good to see you from joining us from YouTube. If you're joining us from LinkedIn or Twitter, I will see your comments. Go ahead and post your comments in there. Unfortunately, I can't comment back because of the way LinkedIn has everything set up through StreamYard. But I will answer your questions live if we see them. So, say hello to Wes. He's always in the channel, and I really appreciate it. And everybody that comes back and joins us again, I really appreciate that. We're being joined by Thomas Van Norman. As soon as he puts his video on, he's moving around right now. We'll see what he's got going on. There he is, right there. How you doing? How's it going, Tom? Thanks for joining, man.
Pretty good. Thanks, Don, for having me.
Excellent. Good to see you. Looks like, so we got a couple of other people joining. Martin's joining us. Good to see you too. Good to see you, Martin. And thanks for joining us. Let us know. Wes is talking, by the way, Don. Oh, excellent. So it looks like Wes was looking at EtherApe and Brute Shark and was leveraging it for some of his assessment work. And we're going to talk a little bit about some more of what I've been doing there. I was actually using Brute Shark, Wes, and just evaluating some PCAPs that I downloaded and actually use that to spin around and to actually do some cracking for some authentication, some challenge and responses. So good to see you there. It looks like we're being joined by Kevin. Hey, Kevin, when you put your video on, I'll jump you into the stream and then you can speak with me and Tom. So hopefully we can do that. But so we're back once again. And just to talk, usually start about what I did, this week, to kind of start the conversations. Filmed another or recorded another SANS ICS concepts video, this time with Jake Brodkowski. I always say it wrong. Jake Brodsky. And I talked to him about SCADA protocol implementation. So we were able to have a nice long chat about that. He's got a lot of experience. Hopefully that'll be coming out in about 3.5 weeks, I think. Also continued on doing some development for the ICS penetration testing class. I was still working on the network monitoring. So that was my week. I've got some in the topics down there. I have a few things that we did. Kevin, I'm going to add you to the stream, but I'd really like that you, hopefully you can turn on your, there we go. Excellent. Good to see you.
Sorry about that.
So Kevin, this is the first time you're here. So why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
All right. Hey, I'm Kevin Flowers. Do sci-fi stuff at Grimm. I'm a junior cyber physical engineer, and nice. So that involves me doing research and turning wrenches every once in a while whenever Tom needs me up there. So
so do you know Tom or do you work with Tom?
A little bit of both. We met when I was pursuing my master's at U of H. So.
Oh, okay. Nice. That's awesome. Once again, thanks for joining us, Kevin. I don't know if you've been here before, and listened in before. We just kind of talk about our week. This is I've got an agenda. I like to talk about the agenda just because it gives us a little bit of a topic to talk about. But really, I just want to know what you and Tom have been, working on this week. I talk about me all the time. So let's start off with you, Kevin. What were your challenges? What did you kind of work on this week, and what were your challenges and stuff?
Sure. So this week was pretty much revolved around doing a lot of research on a couple of different incidents in the cybersecurity world that happened a few years back now. Okay. First one was the Marucci incident in Australia. That was the infamous disgruntled employee who decided it would be a good idea to unleash sewage on a bunch of poor neighboring folks.
Right.
So
That's, if I remember correctly, that's the one where he was a consultant and he had a job implementing some of the water treatment devices and networks, and he wanted a job with that. I don't know how they do it in Australia, but he wanted a full-time job rather than being a consultant. They didn't like his attitude. They didn't like what he was doing. And they decided, hey, you know what? We're just not going to hire you. We're going to hire somebody else. So,
correct.
and so he maintained his credentials. Is that correct?
I'm not exactly sure if he was able to maintain his credentials, but yeah, he was a contractor. He was like a project manager, actually, for that SCADA implementation that they were working through. And yeah, I guess they did a good job or good enough job, but yeah, he was the ultimate insider. And, he got mad that they didn't want to hire him on, or maybe his angle was just to, blame it on the system, be like, hey, look, guys, you need me. I don't really know
Yeah, what
too
his
much
goals
into
were.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
I think he was just disgruntled. So,
yeah.
were you just researching that, or were you like looking at the IOCs? What was your goal for that, and were there any challenges around what you were trying to do with that?
Of course. Yeah. So yeah, part of it was looking up the indicators of compromise and observables and compiling that within a team of very disparate folks, and just trying to paint a cohesive picture of what happened during that incident. And so, working with people can be challenging anytime, and just getting people to march on the same drum beat is always fun. But yeah, I mean, it's been pretty good. We've got a good team, so we made it work. And yeah, it's
Awesome. No, that's good. Tom, what did you do this week, and what were your challenges, man?
So Don, as you know from volunteering with the ICS Village, we signed up a new sponsor this past week. We signed up Industrial Defender.
Oh, nice. Okay, yeah, I knew that was going on. I didn't know that it gone all the way through. So that's industrial, and that's super exciting. Donating to the village helps us put out the content that we're putting out, helps us show up to events to provide education and stuff like that. What else does it help us with, Tom?
Well, so the coming up here in 2 weeks, I guess it is, we're going to be at Texas Cyber Summit doing a tabletop exercise, so it helps fund that stuff there. We have a couple more events going on this year that we're in talks with the conference organizers to join. It just funds. It allows us to cover expenses for our different events. It allows us to cover expenses for our monthly podcast that we do. It allows us to cover expenses for all the other back end stuff, MailChimp and Google Suite and things like that. But one of the cool things it does, it allows us to fund community outreach projects. So we've had a couple of them, and Donna, I believe you did one with radios a couple of years ago for the world shutdown here, where we will fund somebody's research project if they go and give us something back. That can be a white paper, that can be a podcast, that can be give that learning experience back to people. So that money that we raise all goes back into the community. None of us keep any for wages or anything like that. Every cent goes back to the operation of ICS Village, or the travel, the hardware, things like that. And we are a nonprofit organization.
Yeah, it's a small business, right? I mean, it's got the challenges of you're not necessarily earning revenue, but you've got goals and objectives, and the challenge is ensuring that you can meet those, right?
Absolutely. And yeah, super thankful for all of the sponsors and all the people that turn out to events and watch our YouTube channel and comment, things like that. And
yeah, I completely forgot. That should have been on the list of things that I did. I posted all of the stuff from DEF CON. I spent my Labor Day, since it was pouring rain down here in Corpus Christi. We really couldn't go outside. We're all just sitting around watching TV anyways. I made sure we put out those videos and got them up on the on YouTube. So,
and we thank you, you and everybody else that volunteers.
Yeah,
and jumps in.
That's good. That's good. Hey, Kevin, getting back to you. So, what tools did you use this week? You know, from either analysis or what were you doing?
Yeah. No, it's just a lot of open source intelligence gathering. So it was a lot of Googling and a lot of just pouring through reputable sources, IEEE, some white papers here and there. And one of the cool things that I did enjoy about at least Marucci, it's one of the challenges involved with it, but it keeps it interesting. So there's really not a whole lot of like official documents. A lot of it's in court records and stuff like that. So we were actually my counterparts and I were trying to reach out and gather some of those official court records. That means, well, we'll see if we have any luck with that, but that's getting in touch with the actual magistrate over there in Australia and seeing, at least it's a thread we can tug. So
yeah, that's pretty interesting. Do you go out and find the actual tools that they were using and go out and download documentation? Are you really getting that? I mean, because you're talking about indicators of compromise, but understanding what types of those endpoints and devices, the wireless protocols that they were using, the capabilities, were you looking that deep into it?
So a lot of that's proprietary, and it's kind of difficult to get that information.
That's my favorite. Proprietary.
Yeah,
is my favorite.
Yeah. So I mean, it's there's little bits and pieces scattered everywhere that we can find, but compiling that and really getting, what do you call it? Correlatable information is kind of difficult at times. So we try.
Awesome. That's good. Yeah. And, hopefully this is interesting to everybody that's out there on YouTube and LinkedIn. Nobody's posted any, I think Kevin and Tom, you can see the chat as it's going by. I don't think you can respond, but periodically people will ask questions and stuff like that. So I'm monitoring that. I'll let you know. Just kind of thinking about some of the stuff that I did this week. We'll go back to the agenda to use this as a part, as a part of what we do in security assessments, like Wes was talking about earlier. As we're gathering information, once we get that information from people, we want to do some type of analysis on there. The first part of any control system assessments, whether you're doing a penetration test or just a security assessment, is to get network information. It's not necessarily completely passive because of the way that you gather it from the specific environments. But once you get those PCAPs, instead of doing active scans and active interactions with endpoints, you can take that data and analyze that. Now, there's one of my challenges around looking at that is getting I'm used to scrolling through PCAPs. I'm used to running T-Shark commands to pull specific things out. But one of the things that I've been struggling with is getting some of that visualization, because reading something is one thing, but seeing those outliers that pop out that you might miss while you're scrolling through a bunch of information, a visual representation of the information is always helpful. So for visual representation, I've always looked to like some commercial tools. I've wanted to look to commercial tools, but as a small organization, I don't have those capabilities. I don't have, some of the suites that you might have through some of the security platforms that are implemented, or even some of the online tools that you can download the community versions. I'm finding that they don't allow the visualization without some type of license. And that's what I figured out with NTOP NG. I was really excited about this. I've had a lot of people, actually Martin, who's on the stream here, or who's watching us on YouTube, pointed me to it. And it provides a lot of good information. And when I first uploaded a PCAP to it, the application, the industrial control application information that gave back to me, it quickly identified those industrial control protocols. I mean, it was like T-Shark, excuse me, like Wireshark, but it was a little bit easier to search. It was a web-based interface, and so it gave me some interesting information. But what I found out a little after dealing with it for a little while is that the things that I needed it for, especially from a commercial standpoint, that visualization capabilities, it requires a license. In other words, it's one of the features that you have to pay for. And that's okay, if you can afford it. But as a small shop, it's difficult for the smaller shops to do it. So I started looking at other places, and that's what I have. I've 4 things listed there. I have NetFrenzy, which is put out by the team by Coalfire, PVT, and PCI. And these are just some GitHub repositories that are leveraging the Neo4j visualization capabilities. In other words, it's taking the information, it will scrape the information from a PCAP, place it into a Neo4j database, and then you're able to interact with the visual representation of that information. If you're familiar with Bloodhound, that's exactly how they do a lot of their, provide a lot of their data, at least the visualization capabilities of within Bloodhound. So it's the same thing.
Hey,
Go ahead.
Don.
Yes, sir.
You're going through all these really cool tools, and super excited to that you're going over them. Maybe in the future we can actually demo them. Maybe we can get Kevin here to work with you and do a couple minute spot on them. Get some PCAPs, some enterprise, and some ICS PCAPs, and show everybody what these tools actually look like.
I would love that. Yeah, and so this
would be awesome.
Yeah, and what we can do, Kevin, if you're up for it, you and I can do some of that stuff for ICS Village. We can put it out in as a part of that thread, this is supposed to be a conversation. So what I'm using it for here, Tom, is and periodically I show things when I'm usually by myself, not talking to people. Kevin, if you're down with it, I'll get in contact with you, and we'll go through some of the tools and stuff like that. I owe a video. I do some of it for the ICS concept videos. I do a little bit of that, but definitely I want to do some stuff for ICS Village as well. So that's a good recommendation, Tom. Hey, what are you gonna make a video on, Tom?
You know what? So I got one more thing that came to my mind here that I got into a friendly conversation with a person this week that I'll throw out here. And it could be pretty controversial on where people land on this topic, but I'll throw it out anyway. So vulnerabilities, do they matter?
Okay. Well, are you asking Kevin or are you asking me?
I'm asking whoever wants to respond. But first, I'll give you my response.
Okay.
Okay. And and I can be, change my mind. Hashtag change my mind. But, we can go there. But for the most part, unless they're a gateway, a vulnerability in the gateway, firewall, VPN service, something like that, I'm going to say no, because our PLCs, for example, and we'll pick on PLCs, we'll pick on that embedded device, that relay in your substation, or that PLC or something of that nature. These things talk Modbus. These things talk unauthentic protocols. They're insecure by design, as a very well known person says so. Mm-hmm. So does it really matter that the PLC hasn't been patched? And if your adversary has access to it, I think you all have a lot bigger problems, because you should have network segmentation. You should have other control mechanisms in place. So no, I don't think that PLC vulnerability really matters.
And that's kind of how I've been, because I've talked about this a little bit, both on this and in other places. And I've come to a similar conclusion, obviously, with the caveats around you do have to do vulnerability management, but you need to understand where it's being deployed. Architecture is one of the biggest mitigations. Did you get a chance to see the last ICS concept videos, or not the last one, but I think the one before with Ron Fabella? Where we talked about the Forever Day vulnerabilities?
I did see that one. I did not finish it all. but yeah, no,
You're the one that finished early because everybody else went all the way through.
But you know, we hear a lot of people talk about vulnerabilities and things like that without understanding the real risks around it. You know, does it really matter that for every day? You know, well, unless it's your VPN or unless it's your gateway, unless it's something that you use as an access point. I'm going to say no, they don't. You risk it out. You identify the risks and you go from there. But that PLC or that even that switch down there, 3 layers down on your network, okay, it has a vulnerability.
So everybody here knows my thoughts on this, Kevin. So what, so far with your experience, especially from a threat hunting point of view, looking into how people have taken advantage of vulnerabilities, whether it's something in the code or something in implementation, what kind of feelings are you getting from the industry right now?
Well, I'll always defer to the experience and the seasoned vets here. So, if y'all say that it doesn't really matter, then it probably doesn't really matter. But to me, that just screams like, wait a second. I don't know. Like, to me, that sounds totally backwards. Because, for instance, I was doing research on Indestroyer just a couple weeks ago. And so one of the things that, like, the vulnerability there for the safety instrumented system was the attacker was able to initiate, what was it, the firmware update mode just by sending a specifically crafted packet to the SIS system. So it's like obviously, to your point though, they were already on the system. It should have, like, proper segmentation may have helped them there. So it's the design, like the architecture of the entire network that allowed the attacker that opportunity. So, but to me, it's still one way to, especially that system, it's one way to mitigate that potential risk is to, just patch that device. But that was a legacy system, and could they have really done anything there? Did they have the resources? Did they have the technical expertise to do it? There's a lot of ifs there.
So if you're familiar with the corporate environment, so I mean, did you start doing threat hunting and response within the corporate environment, or is this where you're starting out?
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm starting pretty adjacent to the OT environment, but yeah, it's wasn't too long ago that I just graduated, so academia to
I mean,
dipping my toes in OT.
That's what this conversation is supposed to be about. Is
right.
Expressing these points of view, not and trying to get an explanation around these things. So first of all, thanks for bringing it up, Tom, and Kevin. Thanks for kind of pointing out what your point of view is and your direction. And certainly Tom can answer the question, but I'm going to take a stab at it from the aspect of this leveraging the capabilities within the control network to do something malicious or bad. Within the corporate environment, we have this living off the land. In other words, we have these endpoint protections, whether it's antivirus or application control or management solutions, and even the EDRs, on our endpoints. And so the threat actors have to turn to living off the land, leveraging Windows binaries that are already on the systems to their advantage with the credentials that they have. Okay. And that is what's going on within the control industries when you're thinking about the endpoints. Can I send a command to a PLC to tell it to shut down? Yes, we can. That's a part of the capabilities. Now, should they have considered that somebody malicious might have done that or take advantage of that? Possibly. Right. But at the same time, it might be implemented that way very specifically without the intent of somebody doing it first of all, from the internet. Second of all, from the higher level networks like the management networks. We call it level 3, the level 3 environment where the management servers are, where you'll see the majority of your personnel. Okay. Potentially issuing that command from, a Windows server within your level 3 environment, that should never make it all the way down to your control network. depends on what the requirements for control is. So you do have to take into consideration how that process was built and how it needs to be managed. But at the same time, we can look at that and say, hey, you know what? That packet should never be issued from this server. It should only be issued from these 3 IP addresses. So now what you can do is you can start protecting that. You may or may not be able to patch that vulnerability or turn that feature off in that PLC, but you can, from a network layer, you can prevent it by not allowing that command to go down. But definitely, you should be, if you can't prevent, you should be monitoring for that activity, alerting on it, and investigating it as quickly as possible. Is that kind of what you're going for, Tom, when you're kind of considering these forever day vulnerabilities?
Absolutely, Don. And the other thing that that I've had a few conversations on in the past week or two was cloud architecture. So now with, if we want to call it IoT 4, 4.0, 5.0, there's a lot of marketing terms out there. How does the cloud affect all of this? Right? Now you have a connection out to pick one of the providers from your instruments, not from your controllers or anything. Go down another level. From your instruments, now we're calling out your analyzers. Whatever that device is calling out. Could be wireless, could be cellular, could be your Ethernet connection. And
anybody that says that shouldn't happen, or it's never going to happen because people aren't going to buy those services.
No, they do.
They're completely wrong. They're completely wrong, because all you have to do is look at the vendor, see that they're implementing the stuff. The people that are selecting those products and those services are people that are trying to get a job done, and they don't necessarily understand. It's not their job to understand the insecurities associated with cloud technologies and cloud implementations and so forth. But they should have somebody that they're turning to champion and ask those questions prior to acquisitions of those types of devices and services.
Don, I think Wes had something there. I'm on my phone and I can't.
Oh yeah. No, what? Yeah, Wes is talking about. To me, it depends on where it's in the ICS, RCA. Remote code execution vulnerabilities tend to catch my eye, and then more than any other vulnerabilities. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it is why we talk about this, Wes, and why Tom brings it up is, and why we talk about this a lot on this channel, and that's because it's in the media. It's being pushed out there. And it's the end of the world, when it comes to we are constantly seeing different types of media posting around that. When, to Tom's point, they don't understand the actual process. They don't understand the things that are in place or should be in place. They don't actually understand the real root cause of the issue, and they're just latching onto vulnerabilities and patching vulnerabilities because it's easy. So, all right, we're getting close. We're getting close to the end. This is only 30 minutes, Kevin. So, we're going to end with, or we won't end with you, but we'll let Tom go first. So, Tom, what do you got on the books for the weekend, man?
I'm painting. I'm painting bedrooms. I'm painting bedrooms, hanging doors and painting bedrooms. Nothing exciting. I'm trying to figure out how to get out of it, trying to find every excuse to.
I thought you had kids. Don't you have kids to do this?
Yes. However, no.
Yeah. You want it done right?
Yeah. So no, I'm nothing exciting for me. I'm painting.
Excellent. So Kevin, he's not forcing the interns to come down and paint his stuff.
No, I guess not.
Awesome. That's good. So Kevin, what do you have going on? What do you have? Are you working this weekend? Are you planning on getting out? What are you planning on doing?
Oh no, it's going to be a very relaxed weekend. Probably just hanging with the family.
Nice. That's good. Yeah, I've got I've got travel this week, so I'll be teaching. Actually, that's probably a good thing to bring up. For the next 2 weeks, I don't know about the state of or next week I'll be in California teaching all the way up until 5 o'clock. So it's going to be more difficult to have the stream. If we have the stream, it's going to be later on in the evening. And so if you guys want to join, I'm still going to jump on probably out of the hotel room. And then the following week, I'll be on East Coast time. I'll be teaching again, but so it might be a little bit later in the day. But we'll definitely get back on the stream next week. Other than that, this has been another edition of the Cutaway Security ICS Friday Infosec chat, joined by Kevin and Tom, which is pretty awesome. I appreciate both of you coming with your experience. Everybody that joined from YouTube and LinkedIn, Wes, Martin, thanks for coming back. Good to see your names again. Thanks for your input, Wes. Once again, hopefully we answer your questions, and but thanks for contributing and letting us know your thoughts. Everybody have a great, safe weekend, and we will talk to you all next week. Take care, y'all.
See you, everyone.
Later.